Before we do today's read aloud on reptiles, let's look at what we learned about amphibians. Remember that Tabitha Toad is an example of an amphibian. Remember also that amphibians are unique because they live in two different worlds during their lifetime. They begin as a tadpole with gills living and breathing in water, but they slowly develop lungs and live on land, breathing air through their lungs and skin. Okay. Now let's look at the image of the salamander and the lizard. The salamander is on the left and the lizard is on the right. Take just a second and look at these two organisms and see if you can figure out what you think is similar and different between the two. Some similarities you might see include that they both have 4 legs, their body shapes are pretty close, and they both have tails. Some of the differences might include the color of their skin, the texture and the covering of their skin, and the fact that one of their skins looks moist. Remember that salamanders and lizards do not belong to the same animal group. So today, we are going to learn about another group of animals called reptiles. Our purpose for listening is that we need to see if we can find characteristics that taxonomists use to classify salamanders and lizards differently. Hello, boys and girls. As you can see, Anna Anaconda is our starting place for today's lesson. She is a green anaconda, one of the largest snakes in the world. When she unwinds, she is about as long as 6 of you stretched head to toe across the room, and she weighs about 500 pounds. That's more than about 8 of you put together. Anna Anaconda belongs to a group of animals that shares a lot of the same characteristics as the amphibians you learned about last time. Who knows the name of the group used by taxonomists to classify snakes? Yes, snakes are reptiles. Reptiles include crocodiles, alligators, lizards, turtles, and tortoises. But right now I want to focus on one reptile only, Anna. It's no secret that she has a very high opinion of herself. She was quite fond of telling me so when I visited Peru. She thinks she is rather pretty, and I quite agree. In spite of her heavy body, Anna is a very good swimmer. Unlike some of her reptilian relatives, she is an aquatic snake, preferring swamp and rivers to the land. Snakes often have a bad reputation. Some snakes are poisonous, releasing poisonous liquid called venom when they bite. Anna's teeth are actually quite small, and she is not venomous, so you need not worry about that. However, some people fear anacondas because they are members of a family of snakes called constrictors. Does anyone know what that means? Constrictors catch and kill their prey by coiling or wrapping around to prey and squeeze them very tightly. Anacondas' jaws open so wide that they can swallow animals whole. Fish, caiman, which are a small crocodile-like animal, even jaguars and small deer. The anaconda's powerful muscles crush the bones of its prey as it constricts. Once swallowed, the anaconda slowly digests its meals. Uh-oh, some of you look fearful. Don't worry, you're safe. Anacondas don't live where you live in North America. You'll find them far, far away on the continent of South America. That's where I met Anna. Anna was sure to tell me that as far as she knows, there is no documented record of an anaconda ever killing a man, woman, or child. She and all anacondas are nocturnal animals, and they hunt at night, eating frogs, toads, birds, fish, and turtle. She doesn't have to hunt very long because one animal will satisfy her appetite for a long time. So if you look at the map, you can see where we are in the United States and South America. Peru was where we targeted and said that an anaconda was from. Well, that's a lot of information about Anna's characteristics. which are the ways by which scientists classify her as belonging to the animal class called reptiles or reptilia. Reptilia is the Latin word for reptiles, just as animalia is Latin for animals. Anna and other reptiles share some common characteristics with amphibians. Many scientists believe reptiles evolved from amphibians. Reptiles are all vertebrates because they all have a backbone, and they are all cold-blooded because their internal temperature changes with their surroundings. Most reptiles can adjust their body temperatures by basking in the sun to stay warm or by hiding under a rock to stay cool. Just like amphibians, reptiles live on land and in water. However, these two groups do, of course, have their differences. Amphibians depend upon water to stay alive much more so than reptiles. Amphibians' thin, wet, slimy skin needs moisture to absorb oxygen from the air, but reptiles' skin is waterproof. Unlike toads and salamanders, Anna and other reptiles do not breathe through their skin, which is hard, dry, and scaly. They use their lungs to breathe air, which means they are able to withstand very harsh, dry weather conditions under which amphibians would not be able to survive. Of course, because they have lungs, this also means that reptiles cannot stay underwater very long without coming to the surface to breathe. Amphibians usually spend their lives entirely in water, but this is not true of amphibians usually spend part of their lives entirely in water, but this is not true of reptiles as a group. Whereas amphibians begin life with gills, reptiles are born with lungs and are never dependent upon gills for breathing. Remember how different baby tadpoles look from the adult toad? This is not the case for reptiles. Baby reptiles usually look a lot like their parents. They do not undergo metamorphosis the way amphibians do. Remember, in the last read aloud, we talked about the way certain animals, like tadpoles, morph or change as they grow older, and that was called metamorphosis. Let's take a look at some of the animals that belong to the animal group classified as reptiles. These include lizards, geckos, iguanas, and chameleons. Unlike snakes, most lizards have 4 legs. Chameleons have a keen sense of sight and very long tongues. Their brilliant colors, all shades of pink, blue, red, orange, turquoise, and green, help them camouflage when they come face to face with their enemies. Remember, camouflage means to blend in with your surroundings. Earth's largest living lizard is the Komodo dragon. It can grow to be 10 feet long and may weigh as much as 150 pounds. These giant island carnivores eat animals as large as goats, pigs, and deer. Saltwater crocodiles are the largest reptiles on Earth, some weighing up to 1 ton. That's 2,000 pounds. The weight of the average mid-sized car is about 2 tons. Looking like very large lizards, crocodiles make their home in tropical climates and are often seen floating like logs in the water with their nostrils only and eyes and ears showing. Like Anna, they are nocturnal hunters, hunting at night. Crocodiles have the most powerful bite in the entire animal kingdom and are fierce hunters, living off fish and small mammals. Some live to be more than 100 years old. Alligators resemble crocodiles, but they are usually less aggressive or boldly forceful and live in freshwater habitats. Can you tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? Alligators usually have a wide, rounded, U-shaped snout, like the picture on the left, and crocodiles tend to have longer, more pointed V-shaped noses, like the picture on your right. Look at all of these reptiles side by side: chameleons, Komodo dragons, crocodiles, and alligators. What do you notice about their skin? Is it rough, smooth? Does it look like it's thick or thin? Remember when I mentioned that reptile skin is waterproof and that it is hard, thick, and scaly. Their type of scaly skin protects them from overheating, and because their skin is waterproof, it keeps water inside their body. Because reptile skin is very sensitive to or easily affected by temperature, it becomes hot or cold very quickly when exposed to sun or shade. Like many amphibians, some reptiles shed their skin. Remember, that was called molting. Many lizards and snakes shed their skin several times a year as they grow. Snakes do not eat their shed skin the way amphibians do. Turtles and tortoises are the only reptiles with bony shells as part of their skeleton. Their backbones are actually fused to their shells. These shells may be flat or domed. Turtles have softer shells so they can swim faster, but land-dwelling tortoises need hard, leathery shells to protect them from predators. Their legs vary in appearance, depending upon where they live as well. Sea turtles have oar-shaped flippers for moving through water effectively. Many turtles have claws which help them dig, and pond turtles also have webs between their claws to effectively maneuver or move through water. Land tortoises, like the giant Galapagos, have huge column-shaped legs with claws. These claws help them dig into the ground and move across it. Some turtle species live for more than a century. That's a very long time indeed. Body coverings are an important difference between amphibians and reptiles. Another thing that sets these two groups apart is their legs. Remember the slide that showed strands of thousands of soft eggs that Tabitha laid in the pond? Most reptiles lay far fewer eggs, and they lay their eggs in nests on land. Membranes, soft outer coverings that provide protection, and also help to hold in necessary water for eggs to grow, usually coat the inside of a reptilian egg. In most reptile species, the eggs are also covered in a leathery, calcified shell. A few snakes and lizards give birth to fully formed live young instead of laying eggs. The garter snake, a snake right here in North America, is one of these exceptions to the rule. So is the Solomon Island skink, a lizard whose habitat is near the continent of Australia. Like amphibians, reptiles live all over the world. They prefer hot, low areas like rainforest, prairies, desert, and oceans, but they can be found everywhere except near the cold South Pole. If you are as fascinated as I am with reptiles and amphibians, you may want to think about becoming a herpetologist. Yes, indeed, herpetologist is the name given to a scientist who specializes in herpetology, the study of certain crawling animals, specifically reptiles and amphibians. With more than 5,600 species of lizards alone, that should keep you busy for a lifetime. You have seen and learned a lot about fish, amphibians, and reptiles, but there are still two major groups of vertebrates for you to learn about. Who remembers what they are? Yes, birds and mammals. Next time I will be back to tell you about Ebenezer egret. Get ready to feast your eyes on a stunning variety of Ebenezer's feathery friends. Bye-bye for now.